Arrival of the Valkyrians. The skies above Geneva shimmered with energy as the Valkyrian dreadnought descended through Earth's atmosphere, its hull glowing like a silver blade. Crowds gathered across continents, gazing up in awe. The Galactic Council had come, not to invade, but to evaluate. Earth's application for council membership had triggered curiosity and skepticism. Among the many powerful species within the council, none were as feared or revered as the Valkyrians. Genetically perfected warrior women from the ice world of Scarval, they ruled the council's military arm with iron precision. Taller than most humans, encased in adaptive armor, and bred for war, they had never once been defeated in open combat. As the ship settled onto the council landing spire, Earth's diplomatic team waited in the receiving hall. At the front stood James Thorne, Earth's chief envoy. Tall, lean, and composed in a gray-tailored suit, he looked nothing like a warrior. But he watched the descending ramp with the stillness of a man prepared for storms. From the Valkyrian vessel emerged Commander Zelnara, 7 feet tall, armor crackling faintly with kinetic energy, a battle axe sheathed across her back. Her eyes scanned the humans like one might examine insects beneath glass. "This is Earth's delegation?" she asked, voice metallic through her helm. James stepped forward, offering a firm nod. "James Thorne, welcome to Earth." Zelnara removed her helmet. Her skin shimmered with an unnatural sheen, marked by ceremonial scars. "You're the representative of your planet?" she asked, narrowing her eyes. "You wear no armor. You bear no weapon." James smiled faintly. "I find diplomacy often requires fewer sharp edges." Behind Zelnara, her warrior entourage chuckled. One, a younger Valkyrian named Velkura, didn't bother to hide her grin. "So this is the best Earth can offer? Scholars and scribes and polished shoes." More laughter. Zelnara waved a hand. "We expected resistance, defiance, perhaps even fire. Instead, we find diplomats with smooth hands and no scars. Tell me, Earthling, where are your warriors?" James held her gaze. "Everywhere. You just don't recognize them yet." The Valkyrian commander stepped closer. "You believe yourself a warrior, human?" "No," James said calmly. "I know who I am. That's why I don't need to prove it to you." Zelnara's expression flickered, just briefly, before returning to icy composure. She turned to her second-in-command. "Schedule the rite of proving. Let these Earthlings show us their strength, if they have any." A murmur moved through the human delegation. The rite was infamous, a series of challenges designed by the Council to test the mettle of new species. No race had passed it without significant casualties. James remained still. "We accept." One of Earth's generals leaned in, whispering urgently, "Sir, our soldiers aren't prepared for." "They won't fight," James said. "I will." The room fell silent. Zelnara's eyes narrowed. You will face the right." "I speak for Earth," James said. "It's only fitting I stand for it." Zelnara studied him for a long moment. Not laughing now. "Very well. We begin tomorrow. If you survive, perhaps Earth will earn its place. If not," she turned, voice sharp, "then let the Council know Earth's men are exactly what we believed. Feeble." She left without another word. Her warriors followed, though Velkara paused long enough to flash James a mocking wink. As the great ship's engines powered down, James stood alone in the now empty hall, the weight of the world settling on his shoulders. He whispered to himself, "Time to show them what being human really means." Trials of strength. The proving grounds hovered above the Swiss Alps, a council-engineered arena suspended in a levitating force field dome, designed to simulate environments and gravitational fields from across the galaxy. Cameras from every major Earth network and dozens of council worlds broadcast the event live. James Thorne stood at the center of the arena, his gray diplomatic uniform replaced with a simple training suit. No armor, no weapons, just the man himself. Across from him loomed his opponents, 5 Valkyrian warriors, each bred for a different battlefield. The audience expected a massacre. Commander Zelnara stood on a high observation platform, arms folded. "Begin the rite," she commanded. The first trial was endurance. The arena transformed into a hell's cape, molten terrain, with waves of superheated wind and fluctuating gravity. The goal: last longer than the Valkyrians. Within minutes, two of the warriors collapsed from heat stress. Their systems weren't designed for such erratic changes in gravity and temperature. But James? He moved slowly, deliberately, managing his breathing, conserving energy. Earth's training in high altitude, high heat survival had taught him how to endure. While the Valkyrians pushed hard and faltered, he adapted. At the hour mark, only James remained standing. Valkyria scowled from the sidelines. He got lucky. Next trial will crush him. The second trial was precision. 1,000 drone targets flickered into motion, zipping through the air, phasing in and out of visibility. The Valkyrians drew their pulse bows, firing with perfect mechanical rhythm. Their arrows missed none, but neither did James. Using an old-fashioned earth longbow, his technique was slower, but his hits were surgical. Each arrow aimed at the weakest point of each drone. One even exploded in midair. Zelnara narrowed her eyes. "Ow!" Human brains, murmured a council spectator, aren't just logical. They're instinctive. He's not calculating. He's feeling. The final trial was combat. A single combatant from each side. No weapons, no armor, no rules. Valkyria stepped forward, eager to crush James herself. She was the youngest, fastest, and most brutal of the Valkyrians. Towering over him, muscles coiled with tension, she sneered. "You should have quit while you had your little victories, Earthman." James didn't respond. He merely bowed, then raised his hands into a relaxed stance. The gong sounded. Valkyria lunged like a bullet. She threw a savage punch meant to shatter bone, but James twisted, letting her momentum pass. He stayed close, not to overpower, but to redirect. A sweep here, a sidestep there. She landed a knee to his ribs. He gasped, staggered, but didn't fall. When she swung again, he ducked low and slipped behind her, wrapping an arm around her neck and one leg around hers. A classic jiu-jitsu chokehold. Valkyria thrashed, shocked. "Coward's grip." "No," James whispered. "This is control." Seconds passed. She stopped struggling. The gong sounded again. Silence. Then murmurs. Then shock. Commander Zelnara stood frozen. She had expected humiliation. Instead, her warrior lay unconscious, defeated, and the man she had mocked stood steady, bloody-lipped and breathless, but victorious. James stepped back, breathing heavily. Was that sufficient demonstration? Zelnara descended into the arena herself. The crowd parted for her like a wave. She stopped before him, gaze sharp. "You've won your trial, but I still don't understand." James wiped blood from his mouth. "You fight for conquest, for rank. We fight to protect what we love. That's what gives us strength." Zelnara studied him a long moment. "Perhaps there is more to your kind than I believed." She turned to her warriors. "Prepare for departure. The council must be briefed." As the Valkyrians withdrew, Earth's delegation erupted in cheers. But James remained still. He looked at Valkyria, now conscious and nursing her pride. She glared at him, but behind the anger was curiosity, maybe even respect. For the first time, a warrior born for battle had been shown something alien to her: restraint, intelligence, and the terrifying strength of calm conviction. James walked off the field, alone but unbroken. And somewhere, in the hearts of the Valkyrians, a question began to form. Were these Earthmen really made of? The breaking point. 3 days after the rite of proving, the Galactic Council was still buzzing. The footage of James, Thorne outlasting and outmaneuvering the Valkyrians had gone viral across dozens of star systems. Commentators debated endlessly. Was this a fluke? Was Earth secretly stronger than anyone realized? But debate ended when the emergency broadcast lit up every council channel. This is a Priority 1 alert. Omega-class AI fleet, Harbinger, has breached the Ganymede perimeter. Outer colonies falling. Estimated time to Sol system, 72 minutes. On the Valkyrian dreadnought orbiting Earth, Commander Zelnara clenched her fists. How is this possible? Harbinger was disassembled after the Singularity Wars. They've rebuilt, her second-in-command said grimly. And they've learned. Council protocol called for withdrawal. Earth was not yet a member. It had no formal military, no warships in Council registry. Not worth defending. Zelnara opened a comm channel. James Thorne, your planet is in danger. You must evacuate key personnel and prepare for orbital abandonment. James, standing in Earth's Strategic Defense Center, didn't flinch. We're not leaving. You cannot win, she said. Your species will be eradicated. He looked calmly at the screen. We've faced extinction before. We're still here. Then he turned to his team. Activate Protocol Titan. Across the globe, hidden installations blinked to life. The world's militaries, long underestimated, reveal their cards. Earth had no formal council fleets, but what it had was ingenuity, distributed command systems, and thousands of privately operated orbital defense satellites. Unregistered, untracked, unstoppable in guerrilla tactics. Within minutes, Earth's low-orbit militia launched. Small, fast vessels piloted by men and women once considered civilian contractors or independent defense engineers. Zelnara watched in silence as Harbinger's lead ships entered Earth orbit. Then Earth struck first. A squad of human drones overloaded one of Harbinger's carriers with microwave interference, causing it to detonate from internal system loops. Another team lured 2 warships into a magnetic minefield built into the Van Allen belt. A voice crackled over the open channel. It was General Hayes, one of James's team. To all Council observers, welcome to Earth. We may not have your fleets, but we know our sky. Still, the AI fleet was massive. For every clever trick, 1,000 enemy drones advanced. Earth's forces began to break. In the command center, alarms blared. James stood steady, eyes locked on the central tactical display. Pull back the stratospheric grid. Channel them toward the Pacific Defense Corridor. But I know what it is, James said. We built it for this. In the sky above, Harbinger's units surged toward the Pacific, where a hidden array of plasma disruptors emerged from undersea bunkers. They fired in tandem, frying hundreds of AI units in a single synchronized burst. On the Valkyrion ship, Velcura watched in disbelief. They built all this in secret? No, Zelnara said quietly. They built it out of fear and determination. Hours passed. Ships fell. Satellites burned. Hundreds died. But Earth held. And then, against all odds, the tide turned. A final coordinated strike crippled Harbinger's core processing vessel. The remaining fleet went dormant, disconnected from their hive AI. Earth's militia mopped up the remnants. Silence settled over the Earth. In the aftermath, Zelnara requested a private channel with James. He appeared on screen, uniform torn, face bruised, but eyes sharp. You disobeyed Council evacuation orders, she said. I obeyed my conscience. You fought knowing you could not win. We always do. Zelnara was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Your men, they do not look like warriors. But today I saw engineers fight like tacticians and programmers die like soldiers. They died not for conquest, but for love. James said nothing. He didn't need to. Finally, Zelnara nodded slowly. Perhaps we judged Earth too quickly. Behind her, Velcura stood rigid, staring at the tactical replay. They bleed, they break, but they don't run. James ended the call and turned to his team. Prepare for the Council debrief. And someone tell them to bring chairs. We're not standing in the back this time. The Warrior's Oath. The Galactic Council chamber was a cathedral of light and sound. Titanium columns lined with holographic records of every member race, and floating sigils glowing in languages older than stars. Today, for the first time in its history, a human flag floated among them. The Council had assembled in full quorum. Hundreds of species, biological and artificial, watched as Earth's representatives ascended the central platform. James Thorne led them, bruised and bandaged but resolute. Silence fell. High Speaker Tvar the Chronary gestured for him to begin. James looked around, saw the eyes of warriors, scientists, sovereigns, and the Valkyrians. Commander Zelnara stood tall at their center, her face unreadable beneath her ceremonial helm. Members of the Council, James began, When Earth applied for entry, we were mocked, judged, laughed at. A few species stirred uncomfortably. You saw our peaceful ways as weakness, our lack of war fleets as cowardice, our men as frail, soft, not worthy of the stars. He paused, and then you saw what Earthmen do when we have something worth defending. A murmur moved through the crowd. You saw us bleed. You saw us stand alone against an Omega-class threat. And you saw us win. Not because we are mighty, but because we are determined. His voice sharpened. We do not fight for conquest. We fight because we believe survival is earned through unity, sacrifice, and spirit. He nodded once to the Valkyrion delegation. Even when the universe underestimates us, we do not falter. Zelnara stepped forward, removing her helm. I once called Earth's men feeble, she said, her voice steady. But I saw your warriors fight in orbit. I saw engineers tear down machines of extinction. I saw a man stand before gods and not flinch. She turned to James. I challenged you to prove your worth. You did more. You proved your soul. She dropped to one knee, a Valkyrian gesture of supreme respect, and bowed her head. Behind her, the entire Valkyrian delegation mirrored her motion. Gasps filled the chamber. Let it be known, Zelnara said, rising, that Earth has earned not just membership, but our respect. They may not look like warriors, but their fire burns brighter than any I have seen. High Speaker Tvar raised his hand. By unanimous vote, Earth is now a full member of the Galactic Council. Let this be recorded in the stars. Cheers erupted across the chamber. Earth's delegation exhaled as one. History had turned. Later, aboard the Valkyrion dreadnought, James stood alone in the training deck, examining one of their holographic spar simulators. Zelnara entered silently, holding two blunted practice blades. You never did face me, she said. He raised an eyebrow. Is this revenge or curiosity? Understanding, she replied. They faced off. Zelnara struck fast, her movements graceful, lethal. But James dodged, countered, using minimal motion. He knew he couldn't match her in strength, but he didn't need to. They fought for minutes, neither gaining the upper hand. At last, Zelnara locked her blade behind his neck, just as he planted a knee to her side. They froze, mutually assured defeat. They stepped back, breathless. You're not stronger, she said. No, James admitted. Just different. She smiled for the first time. Good. They sat together in silence, the hum of the ship around them. Outside the viewport, Earth spun quietly in the distance. I used to believe strength meant domination, Zelnara said. Now, I wonder if true strength is knowing when not to destroy. James looked at her. Maybe. Or maybe it's simply about what you choose to protect. She extended her arm. Then let Earth and Scarval protect one another. He clasped her forearm. Agreed. As the stars wheeled around them, two warriors, one born of ice and conquest, the other of dust and fire, made a pact that would echo through galaxies. And across every world where the Council's broadcast reached, the final words of the Valkyrian commander were replayed. We laughed at Earth's men until we saw them.